When Typhoon Morakot battered Taiwan last August, it left a trail of broken bridges in its wake. Most of them were traditional beam bridges, which have a large number of pillars in the river, making them vulnerable to floods or landslides. Since World War II, cable-stayed bridges have become a popular choice around the world because they're held up by steel wires from a single tower. Although these elegant structures cost 2 to 3 times more than traditional bridges, they are less likely to be swept away by a storm. In the latest in our series of features on Taiwan's bridges, we see if there are any strings attached to the cable-stayed design.
On August 8 last year, Typhoon Morakot took a heavy toll on Taiwan's bridges. A closer investigation into the causes of the problem reveals the danger to bridges around the country.
The bridges damaged by the 8/8 disaster were basically all what we call traditional I-beams, with a span of around 30 to 40 meters, supported by bridge piers in the middle of the river. After the 8/8 flooding, 133 bridges designed this way were damaged. You can see that central bridge piers are at a higher risk.
Traditional I-beam concrete structures are the most common type of bridge seen in Taiwan. In a beam bridge, the weight of the deck is supported by a large number of piers, placed closely together underneath, increasing the area of resistance to the current. It only takes one of the piers to give way for the bridge to break. After World War II, the engineer's favorite cable-stayed bridge came back into favor.
When talking about the mechanics in cable-stayed bridges, we can take the battered bridge as an example. Everyone can see battered bridge has one tower and around 5 sets of cables holding up the bridge. Because the cables are holding it up, we can take away the 5 piers.
Tension is transferred at an angle along the cables, which pull upwards to support the bridge vertically, while horizontal tension is transferred along the bridge to make it pre-stressed so it's unlikely to bend. A cable-stayed bridge can have a maximum span of over 1,000 meters. Without piers in the river, the threat of the current is greatly reduced.
With global warming and the impact the climate has on construction, using the idea that man has to conquer nature isn't right. We should be cutting back and avoiding, for example, building a structure in the river. Cable-stayed bridges avoid trying to use engineering to overcome unavoidable natural disasters.
The drawback of cable-stayed bridges is their price. They cost 2 to 3 times more than traditional beam bridges, and the different shapes and sizes of bridge towers can take time and money to design.
It's about 90 meters or 30 stories up. We're going up around 30 floors now. Our elevator is like this.
Precise calculations are needed to erect the tower and set the cables. But that's why, no matter how a cable-stayed bridge is designed, it is always more pleasing to the eye than a beam bridge.
Taking the example of battered bridge, it looks like a fishing rod, which goes with the Geelong Riverside Park. It brings out the character of the bridge. A nicely designed bridge can also become a local landmark.
Whether driving a car or taking a stroll, an elegant cable-stayed bridge always looks pretty. Although the price tag is not cheap, the experts say if the bridge is well designed, when taking into account the comparative cost of planning, design, building, and repair, over its lifespan, a cable-stayed bridge is no more expensive than a traditional beam model.
Taiwan's bridges are designed to last 50 years, but after 20 years they get swept away. That means in 50 years you have to build it at least twice. In terms of construction costs, you might as well build it better just once. And apart from basic functions, it also has mechanical and aesthetic qualities.
发挥我们讲的力学、美学的一个功能。
In light of climate change, construction projects need to be designed with a long-term view in mind. Perhaps our increasingly violent weather is a chance for us to rethink our tendency to look for cheap options, which end up costing us more in the end.